During the interview preparation process, most candidates focus on the dimension of preparing to answer questions that come from the interviewer. In addition to this vital element, there is another significant dimension pertaining to interviews and how you could incorporate this dimension effectively as a part of your interview strategy. And that pertains to asking the right questions to the interviewer. Now, these days, most interviewers, be it from the HR team or the functional or line managers, are generous enough to provide candidates or interviewees an opportunity to ask questions. This generally happens towards the end of the interview when the concerned recruiter asks the candidate or the interviewee whether she or he has any questions. Now, my observation pertaining to the guidance that I provide to working professionals across various levels and various experience bands is candidates or working professionals at the junior, mid-junior and middle level are many a times hesitant to ask questions to the interviewer. This is not a major issue when it comes to the senior and top management levels, where working professionals by that time, they understand the importance of asking the right questions, and possibly they also have the confidence to position the questions in the right manner. Unfortunately, for junior, mid-junior and middle level working professionals, it's a challenge. Possibly the reason could be confidence issues or a thought that in case they ask an invalid question or possibly a question which may not augur well, then it would impact their chances pertaining to the interview. However, my suggestion is never think like that. Of course, you need to pose the right questions. No one likes to be asked an invalid question or questions which may be personal in nature, especially during an interview. So you need to ask the right questions. However, understand that the dimension of asking questions to the interviewer can help you in a major way, considering the competition, to enable you to stand out and differentiate yourself from the crowd. So in case you are being interviewed by an HR team member within the organization where you've applied to, there you need to ask questions which are more generic in nature, more to do with what human resources professionals or talent acquisition professionals do. You can possibly ask questions pertaining to the organization's culture or generic growth opportunities. Never ask questions which may be too data driven or functional in nature, or possibly something which may be specific to the individual, like asking the person as to what her or his experience with the organization has been. So please don't go into anything like that. Questions on culture and job opportunities can position you well in terms of interviews with the HR team members. In case you are being interviewed by the functional manager or the line manager, then you can possibly ask more specific questions. The most important element is preparation. So just like how you prepare to answer the questions posed by the interviewer during interviews, even when it comes to you asking the right questions, you would have to prepare. And the most vital element in terms of the preparation process is doing research and groundwork prior to the interview. So first is, prior to every interview, you need to understand who is it that is conducting the interview. So you should be visiting the interviewer's LinkedIn profile. In addition to that, understanding about the person's background and also doing research about the organization. These days, especially pertaining to mid-size and large organizations, there should be a lot of information available on the internet or in media. So try to analyze and try to figure out or possibly frame the right questions through your research and analysis. For the interviews that you undergo with functional managers, you can ask questions pertaining to the company's growth, certain data points that you may have observed in media articles or on the internet. You can be slightly more data centric and even function oriented when it comes to these interviews with functional heads or the line managers. Regardless of whoever you are being interviewed by, as I mentioned, please don't get into something which is specific to the person. At the same time, in case you've come across anything negative about the organization in the recent past or possibly in some article, never bring that up during the discussion. When you're asking questions, ensure that you ask positive questions, and at the end of the interview, your positioning in front of the interviewer should be strong. Because if you get into something which may be negative, it would impact your positioning, it would ensure or it would lead to the interviewer feeling uncomfortable, and then your chance of progressing to getting the job offer may be restricted. So do your research, create the right questions, and also devise pointers in terms of how you would ask these questions, and incorporate maximum data points when it comes to functional interviews. Try to ensure that, considering the competition and the fact that there are so many candidates applying for each role or each job opportunity, these questions should be a cutting edge or a differentiating factor. So it's going to be vital in terms of asking the right questions and also the method in which you ask questions. So never the questions that you ask should be in an arrogant way. Everything should be done with utmost humility, in a manner, position that you want to seek knowledge from the interviewer, so you may know the answers to certain questions. However, when you are posing these questions, you would need to position yourself as someone who wants to understand the interviewer's perspective and learn more. So that's going to be extremely important. So even in case you know about something, the fact that when you're given an opportunity to ask a question, you should not leave that opportunity. And in case, in very few situations, an interviewer may not give an opportunity to the candidate to ask questions, even there, you should politely request the interviewer whether you could just ask one or two questions. And I'm sure the interviewer would oblige. So utilize this section, which mostly comes across towards the end of the interview. You need to utilize it effectively to ensure that you create a solid impact in terms of positioning, and also create an impression in the minds of the interviewer or interviewers that you have done your homework and you're really keen to work with the organization in that specific job role. So my best wishes to you, all job seekers, in ensuring that you succeed in your interviews and obtain your next best career opportunity. Thank you very much.